Hey book lovers, it's Eric from Lonesome Reader. This is just a quick reading wrap-up video because it's been a busy couple of weeks and things are a bit chaotic, so I haven't been able to settle down and make a proper video. But I moved flats. I'm here in my new London flat. It's a nice big space. I've got really high ceilings to build bookshelves up in, but currently everything is still in boxes. And it's a bit sad to see all of my books in boxes all the time, but I think they're gonna have to stay there until the bookshelves get made. So I have a little bit of a temporary arrangement for a while, but I'm looking forward to getting everything set up. So yes, moving house was very chaotic, and I got a sore back from lifting so many boxes of books. Also, in the past couple of weeks, I went to the International Man Booker Prize shortlist announcement that was held in the Orangery in Kensington Gardens. It was a lovely party. I think it's so good that the Booker Prize now does this international prize which recognizes translated literature, like not just the author but also the translator. And there's so many books of exciting international fiction out there which doesn't get read that much because it's translated literature, and that just doesn't sell as well. So it was exciting to see the shortlist here. I've only read one book on the list so far, which is Fever Dream by Samanta Schweblin. She's an Argentinian writer. This is published by One World, who also publishes Paul Beatty, who actually won the Booker Prize last year. Fever Dream is quite a short novel, a really intense, strange novel, and I found it quite disorientating at first, but then I really got into it and was totally gripped. I think it's sort of better if you go into it knowing what the basic plot is, because then you'll understand it a lot better. So it's about a woman named Amanda who ventures with her young daughter to a holiday home, and she meets a neighbor there, and she starts talking to this female neighbor, and the neighbor starts telling her these strange stories about how her son went through this strange ritual process, and now he feels to her something like a monster, kind of like a zombie. And the story is told in this dialogue of them talking to each other. But then the story also keeps flipping to this other point where Amanda is lying in a hospital room, and the son of this neighbor is sort of standing over her, talking to her, and trying to draw out of her the story of what happened in this holiday home. So it's sort of a mystery, a very tense mystery. You know that something really bad has happened, but you don't really understand what. It's very sinister. Reality is slightly distorted. It's a really intense, odd novel, but it just drew me in and made me wonder what's going on here. And it's one of those books that made me want to run out and talk to people and ask what they think happened. So if you've read Fever Dream, please talk to me in the comments below and we can have a bit of a chat about it, because I'm really curious about what other people's takes are on this book. So I'm hoping to read more from the Booker International Prize shortlist. There's a novel on there by a woman called Dorothy Nors, who's from Denmark, I think, that the lovely writer Fiona Melrose recommended was really good. So I'm hoping to read that next. What else has been happening? Over the Easter weekend, I went on this great trip to a house for Essex, which I made a vlog about, and I'll post a link up there to that. It was such a wonderful weekend in a really unique house. I read a couple short books there, which I talked about in my vlog. These two, The End We Start From by Megan Hunter, and Cesar Aria's The Little Buddhist Monk. I'm not going to talk too much about them because I talked about them a lot in that video. I'd really highly recommend this short debut novel, The End We Start From. It's a sort of post-apocalyptic novel where London has been flooded, and this woman who has just given birth to a baby has to find a way to survive. No names are given, characters are just known by letters, and it has a really poetic, beautiful style. And in between the text of the story, she inserts all these lines from religious texts about sort of the end of the world. It has a wonderful way of adding to the feeling of this world closing in on this new mother. Also, Cesar Aira's book is another short, strange Argentinian novel. Just coincidentally, I've read two books by Argentinian authors this month. Aira's writing follows a real dream-like structure, and I think his books, he's really prolific. He's written over 80 books. They're all quite short, and I think that's for the best, because while I really enjoy his writing, I think they only work because they're so short. I think a longer piece, it wouldn't really be sustained. It would just be too all over the place. But in a short book like this, he takes a central idea about this small Buddhist monk in Korea who wants a larger life for himself, and he meets this French couple. And the story just goes off in some really bizarre places, but his writing is so incredibly thoughtful. He puts forward some really interesting ideas and then just this really like wacky story, and you just go along with it wondering what's going to happen next. So I really enjoy his writing. I also read Lisa McInerney's novel The Blood Miracles. This is her follow-up book to The Glorious Heresies, which won the Bailey's Prize last year. And the story is a continuation. It follows Ryan again, who's one of the central characters of The Glorious Heresies. And I don't think you would need to have read The Glorious Heresies to understand the plot of this novel. She does a fairly good job at the beginning of summarizing what's happening. Basically, it's about Ryan, who's a 21-year-old drug dealer living in Cork. And if you told me there was a novel about an Irish drug dealer and his gang, I probably wouldn't be that interested in reading about it, but Lisa McInerney is a fantastic writer, and I just absolutely love The Glorious Heresies. So this continues to follow Ryan's story as he struggles in his relationship with his long-term girlfriend, and also finding his place in this gang where they've just acquired this new drug from Italy, which could be very profitable for them. But things go very wrong for Ryan, and he gets caught in this love triangle between his long-term girlfriend and this intriguing new woman that he meets. And also his struggles being caught in the middle of this gang warfare. And something I really like in this novel are these really beautiful passages that McInerney puts in where Ryan is speaking to his mother, who he's lost, and he expresses this intense longing for her guidance and her help, because McInerney has like such a great way of writing about teenagers and young people who are just sort of adrift in society and who don't have the support system that they really need. However, saying that, I did find myself struggling with this book a bit. She has a lot of scenes where there's like a lot of dialogue, and there just seems to be these circular arguments that go around and around and don't go many places. So I felt like in the middle of the novel, it was just sort of treading water a bit. And I have to say, I didn't enjoy it as much as The Glorious Heresies. I would really recommend going to The Glorious Heresies, but if you're a big fan of that, then you should go on to The Blood Miracles as well, because it's interesting to see how several of the characters have developed in a few years. And I'm also going to be interested to see where McInerney takes the story next, because this is going to be a trilogy and there will be a third book. So I'll be watching out for that. And then finally, I finished reading this book of memoirist essays called Dear Friend, From My Life, I Write to You in Your Life by Yiyun. I've been really taking my time with this book of essays and just enjoying them and absorbing them. It is such powerful, beautiful writing. She writes all about the reading life and how literature is integrated into our lives, particularly for solitary people who find it difficult to communicate with others, and how it's really a touchstone to humanity for us. But she takes it from a really personal point of view. She writes about a couple periods where she was hospitalized and her suicide attempts, but she more just references these things like there were just these like natural occurrences happening in the background. What she really focuses more on are these philosophical questions about how we exist in relation to literature and other people, our connections with characters and stories, how these stories either reflect upon our lives or don't reflect our lives, what the relationship is between the reader and the author, whether it's sort of a profane act to go and seek out that author because really you've had this communication on the page. Do you really want to know them in person? And what's so intriguing is that she hasn't resolved these things herself. Like she'll say that authors and the readers should never meet, but then she seeks out William Trevor, whose writing she loves, and they do become friends. I'd go so far to say, as this is a really profound book, and it's one that I'll want to keep close by and revisit at various points. So that's what I've been reading and doing. I'm going to go unpack some more boxes. There's still lots of boxes to unpack, but I'm going to finish my tea first. I've got my mustache mug out. So if you want to know more of my thoughts about these books, click show more below and I'll put links through to my full reviews of them. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of the books on the Man Booker International Prize shortlist, and if you have, what I should read next, and especially if you've read Fever Dream, let me know your thoughts about it. Thank you for watching everyone, happy reading!